So good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by University of Illinois Extension and Rural Partners, the Illinois Rural Development Council. I'm Ann Silvis and I'm with University of Illinois Extension, and I also serve on the board of directors for Rural Partners. I'm going to give you a few housekeeping details. Because we have so many on the line, please mute your mic and you can stop your video. That saves a little on the bandwidth. If you have questions or comments as we go through the program, please use the chat space and we'll address all those questions at the end of Karen's comments. If you're having audio difficulty, post those questions in the chat space and we'll provide technical assistance for that. We are recording this webinar and it will be available later on our website. And if you're registered, you will also get an email when the recording is ready. So that's the end of the housekeeping, and I would now like to introduce Laura Hepkessel, who will introduce today's speaker. Laura is Director of Telehealth Services for Southern Illinois University School of Medicine, and Laura is also currently serving as Chair of the Board of Directors for Rural Partners. So Laura, welcome and thanks for having us.
Thanks, Ann. We appreciate our partnership with Extension to offer these webinars. So welcome everyone, thanks for joining us. As Ann mentioned, Rural Partners is the Rural Development Council for the state of Illinois. If you're not familiar with Rural Partners, we're a membership organization with a volunteer board that focuses on trying to offer different services such as this webinar series in partnership with Extension. We are focused on different areas of interest each month. This is the second of two webinars that we have planned for March that are focused on agriculture, farm family, local foods. And then next month, our series is focused on state and federal government, including topics on housing, Illinois' redistricting, and the first 100 days of the new Biden administration. So we would encourage you to sign up for those webinars next month if you're interested. As Ann mentioned, the webinars are recorded and available on the Extension website. So if you can't make one, there's always an opportunity to see it later. And so again, thank you for being here. I'd like to introduce our speaker today. Karen Stallman is my friend and colleague. Karen is a graduate at SIU. Over her career, she's worked for University of Illinois Extension, Southwestern Illinois College in the Metro East, as well as Southern Illinois University Carbondale. Karen is currently serving as the Agriculture Resource Specialist and coordinates the Farm Family Resource Initiative program with the SIU School of Medicine Center for Rural Health and Social Service Development based in Carbondale. Karen is a Southern Illinois native, and we appreciate her being with us today. So thank you, Karen.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. And I appreciate those kind words. I've known Laura a long time, and it's always good to coordinate efforts with her. Good afternoon. I hope this Tuesday is going well for all of you. I am coming to you today from our family farm, which is just north of Chester, Illinois, in Randolph County. If you look on your Illinois map, I am on the bluff just above the confluence of the Kaskaskia River and the Mississippi River. Now, I know that you all, as rural partners, know about broadband access and internet access in rural areas. And one might think that being up on a bluff, I might have really good internet access from some satellite up there or something. But I don't. So I'm going to be like Ann suggested, I'm going to turn my video off. If I don't, a little box appears before too long that tells me that I have a weak connection, and then I'll be forced to. So I'll take a minute and turn the video off, and we will get started. On behalf of Southern Illinois University School of Medicine and the Center for Rural Health and Social Service Development at SIU Carbondale, I am pleased to share with you today information about our Farm Family Resource Initiative. Again, if you have questions as we go, please submit them in the chat box. And then I've allowed time at the end for any questions that you have. I want to thank each of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. I hope that you find today's noon hour to be both educational and beneficial. The agrarian imperative impels farmers to hang on to their land at all cost. The agrarian imperative instills farmers to work incredibly hard, to endure unusual pain and hardship, and to take uncommon risk. I think of this often. My husband's family came from Germany to Chester, Illinois in the late 1850s. They settled on a farm just north of Chester and never moved. My husband continues to farm part of the original homestead. I grew up on a farm where I am today, just northeast of his family farm. When my two oldest brothers were called to serve in Vietnam, my four sisters and I were raised just like boys because my dad needed the help. We worked hard. I often say work is all we knew, and we took some awful chances. I'm not sure how we ever avoided a serious accident, but we did. Many of the farm stressors that you see on your screen are the same farm stressors that my parents faced then, many years ago. And they are the same ones that our farm families are facing today. Financial concerns. Will the income from the crops and livestock be enough to keep the farm sustainable? Input costs go up every year. This morning, I asked my husband, what would a new combine cost? Now, not that we're in the market for buying one, but he said, oh, probably about $500,000 to $600,000. Now, corn yesterday was $5.60 a bushel. So how many bushels does it take to buy just one piece of machinery? And of course, machinery is only part of the input cost. Another stressor of personal or farm family concerns. This has certainly been magnified in the last year with COVID. Children are at home. The partner may be working remotely or maybe even unemployed. Illness and COVID has certainly struck many farm families. Work-related injuries. Farming is one of the most dangerous occupations in America. Most of us can think of a farming accident that has happened near us. Farm policies, always changing. It's hard to keep up. It's hard for farmers to keep up with all the changes in farm policy. Loss of crop or livestock, that may be weather related. It may be as a result of disease, insects, something else. During these COVID times, we even saw some livestock producers that had to destroy livestock because markets were closed and meat processing plants were closed. Weather. Well, what can I say about the weather? Flooding, drought, wind. We were just, before we went live, we were talking about wind. So many extremes, climate change, and we can only look forward to more. Where I live, we have gotten over 4 inches of rain in the last 2 weeks. Right now in Southern Illinois, it's nice and sunny, but we are supposed to be getting rain about 3:30 today. So if the rain continues, we will again have a very narrow window for spring planting. And that seems to be happening more and more. The markets fluctuate daily. We have tariffs, we have bailouts. A few weeks ago, my husband said, boy, today soybeans dropped a dime, and I have no idea why. But those markets certainly go up and down. Farm succession. Who is going to take over the farm? This is so common and it has become such a problem. Many farmers have worked for generations, worked so hard for so long. But what happens to the farm when the farmer is gone or when the farmer decides to retire? I can share a personal story. My husband is 70 years old, still farming. The cousin who farms the other part of the family farm is 65. The neighbor who farms is 62. None of us have children who will farm. And the one young farmer who is taking on more ground is 50. And this is happening all over. Farm succession is a real problem, and it's a problem that farmers are facing. Who is going to take over the farm? Now let's pause for a moment and think. Out of the 8 stressors that I have listed, and you can think of many more, how many can the farmer control? And what happens when you deal day in and day out with things you can't control? It gets tough, doesn't it? So let's talk about what happens. What are symptoms of too much stress? What are some signs that we're not doing well? Persistent worry or fear, apprehension and uneasiness, avoidance of others, feeling sad, lack of interest or pleasure in activities, significant weight change, sleep problems, low energy, thoughts of suicide. A March 2020 study showed us that American farmers produce nearly all of the country's food and contribute some $133 billion annually to the gross domestic product. Yet they now are saddled with near record debt, declaring bankruptcy at rising rates and selling off their farms amid an uncertain future clouded by climate change and a whipsaw of tariffs and bailouts. For some, the burden is too much to bear. Farmers are among the most likely to die by suicide compared with other occupations. According to a January study by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the study showed that suicide rates overall had increased by 40% in less than 2 decades. On a farm, there is no more valuable asset than the farmer. The Farm Family Resource Initiative started in January of 2020. Discussion started a little bit earlier, but officially it started in January. It was initiated by Senator Scott Bennett. Senator Bennett is a senator of the Illinois 52nd District, and he was able to successfully secure funding for the initiative in the last 2 legislative sessions. Six counties were identified as being pilot counties, and we're currently still in the pilot phase. So the counties that are working now in the Farm Family Resource Initiative are Morgan, Sangamon, Macoupin, Christian, Logan, and Macon. So 6 counties right there in central Illinois. Sorry, I need to make an adjustment here. Okay, there we go. So the Farm Family Resource Initiative seeks to improve the health and well-being of Illinois farm owners and families by, and these are our overarching goals and objectives: identifying farm family needs, including mental health needs, compiling a list of available resources for farm families, creating new resources for farm families, and developing a network of partners, both professional and otherwise, to respond to farm family needs. We have a Farm Family Resource Initiative Advisory Council made up of 48 agriculture industry professionals from throughout the state. We meet monthly, And we rely on that advisory council to provide guidance and support and to encourage expansion across the state. We would really like to be able to expand beyond those pilot counties if funding permits. And some of those ag industry partners are members of organizations that you all are part of. University of Illinois Extension, Illinois Farm Bureau, Farm Credit of Illinois, and a lot of the commodity groups. So we rely heavily on that advisory council for input. And I can't see who's on the call at the moment, but I think I saw on the roster a couple of our advisory council members are on. We appreciate all that they do. So we the initiative with a needs assessment. So in the pilot counties, we did a survey between April 2020 and September of 2020. We got 78 responses, so not a huge response, but we were pleased with that. 64% said farm-related stress and mental health are significant problems. Market prices for crops and livestock were among the highest concerns. And then we ask, as a producer, as a farmer, where would you go if you felt like you needed help? If a producer was stressed, they indicated they would go to see a physician, go to their family, a faith leader, before seeking out a therapist for help. So one of the things that we developed is a farm helpline, and I've got the numbers listed here, 1-833-FARM-SOS. So the farm helpline is designed for a farmer, farm family member, ag industry person that identifies that somebody needs help to call this toll-free number for some assistance. So it's free, it's confidential. The farmer, whoever the caller is, calls in and talks to a mental health professional. The mental health professional is providing brief crisis intervention, assessing for potential harm to self or others, and then link with appropriate mental health resources. If the caller requests additional follow-up, we provide it. The call center that we contract with also answers calls for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So that team of professionals are there to help whatever ag issue, whatever person calls in that needs some assistance. And sometimes that might just mean a caller who calls in because they need somebody to talk to. Now, let me take a minute. Our helpline is free. Our helpline is 24/7. Earlier, I mentioned the pilot counties and that we're still in the pilot phase. However, we will not turn anybody away that calls in. If someone sees the farm helpline number and calls from another county, we're not screening any callers to make sure that they're only from the pilot counties. So I want to make sure and emphasize that. We take calls from farm families from all areas. We're in discussions with Laura and her team talking about trying to provide some telehealth follow-up sessions. Now, some other states who have helplines or hotlines do offer telehealth sessions. Missouri offers, University of Missouri offers an opportunity for farmers and farm families to have 4 telehealth counseling sessions. We're looking at trying to do something similar. So if a caller would want some additional help, that through the expertise at the School of Medicine, we would be able to provide telehealth sessions, and looking at a number of counseling sessions where we would be able to provide that service to the callers if it's something that they would like to pursue. One of the marketing pieces that we are using are wallet cards. And wallet cards are just a business size card with information about the farm helpline. We have distributed these cards in the pilot counties at Farm Service Agency offices, farm credit offices, Farm Bureau, implement dealers, U of I extension offices, farm stores, grain elevators, with the thought that if a farmer picks one up, if the farmer's wife picks one up, it's easy to put in a wallet, it's easy to stick down in your purse, so that if I'm in the field, if I'm on a tractor, if I'm in a combine, if I'm somewhere, I can pull out that card. If I feel like I need help, if I need somebody to talk to, I've got the number readily accessible. We've learned that just because there's a wallet card display sitting on the counter at, say, the local extension office, that doesn't mean that the farmer is going to reach over in front of others and take a card. We're looking at other ways of getting it in their hands, and that includes providing them to our ag industry partners. So if I'm an ag lender and I recognize that somebody is needing help, I can give them a wallet card and suggest that it's available if that's something that they want to take advantage of. We also are looking at other ideas on marketing. We have our website, we do paid ads, we do social media, we do presentations such as this, but other suggestions are always welcome. And I share that with you because some of you also might have some ideas about how to get the word out. One of the things that we developed early on was a Farm Family Resource Initiative resource guide. This isn't a public guide. We put together national, state, and county resources, counties specific to those pilot counties, so that our helpline staff and others that provide follow-up can refer to the resource guide when a call comes in. It's a working document. We can continue to update it. We made it localized so the call center staff knows if somebody calls in from Sangamon County, from Christian County, what are the resources in that area? If it's a mental health provider, if it's the health department, if it's a food pantry. We've put together those resources to try to assist the call center staff so that they can accurately provide callers with resources. Another area that we're working with are ag industry partners and providing some professional development. Currently, we are providing webinar professional development opportunities for ADM and for their grain facilities. So we have been providing webinars presented, of course, via Zoom. So the first webinar is called An Introduction to Helping Skills. And in this session, participants explore elements of a helping therapeutic conversation. And that's a 40-minute interactive webinar. Practical applications specific to producers and their families are highlighted. And being interactive, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of sharing. The second webinar is recognizing signs of psychological distress. So if I am an ag industry person and I deal directly with farmers and farm families, how can I learn to identify typical signs of depression, anxiety? This again is a 40-minute interactive webinar specific to producers and their families. So the webinars are being taught by Dr. Nick Wyszynski, and Nick is a faculty member in the Southern Illinois University School of Medicine's Department of Medical Education. I share that with you because some of you might be interested in a webinar, particularly if you work with farm audiences, farmers and farm families. We've partnered with Farm Credit Illinois to provide the Nurse Scholar Program. Now, the Nurse Scholar Program is offered by what's called AgriSafe Network. And the AgriSafe Network is in our southern states. So the Nurse Scholar Program is a program where the continuing education is offered by the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. But this program provides 20 hours of continuing nursing education supported by the American Nurses Credentialing Center and the University of Louisiana. It's completely online, it's on demand. Upon completion, a digital badge recognizing professional excellence is presented. It addresses health and safety issues that are unique to agriculture workers and their families. And guest faculty teach the different sessions. And let me give you just an example of some of the training topics for 2021. Health and safety issues of the aging farmer, prevention of heat-related illnesses in agriculture, identification of skin diseases common to the agriculture industry, increasing use of hearing protection among farmers, allergic and non-allergic respiratory disease in farmers. So again, there's 20 hours of continuing nursing education. The nurse has to be at the LPN education level or above. Through Farm Credit Illinois, we're able to offer scholarships. So upon completion of the Nurse Scholar Program, the nurse is reimbursed for the cost. So we're currently taking applications for the Nurse Scholar Program. And we're recruiting within the SIU School of Medicine region, the service areas within this region. So that's the southern 66 counties. So that's something to keep in mind. We have some additional scholarships left. We've awarded 4 to date. So if somebody has a thought about a nurse that you might think might be interested, later on when I give you my contact information, you might reach out to me and I can share that information with you. Our Farm Family Resource Initiative website, siumed.edu/farm. This gives information about our helpline. We also have some recorded webinars on the website, and we continue to update the website with resources, both state and national resources. There are lots and lots of states who are addressing farm stress in a variety of ways. So as I learn of resources, as our advisory council learns of resources, other partners learn of resources, we share that information and put that on our website. I want to go back to my first slide. On a farm, there is no more valuable asset than the farmer. Farmers take care of their crops. They take care of their livestock and their equipment, but often farmers don't take care of themselves. We know that the farmer must stay physically and mentally well. Go to questions. Let me offer some ways that you might help with our initiative. If you have contacts in the 6 pilot counties and you have ideas about, well, here's a way you could get wallet cards around, here's a way where you could set up some displays, here's a place you could do a promotional PowerPoint presentation like I'm doing today, here's where you could promote the Nurse Scholar. And as we go and think about face-to-face events, maybe there's some place that we need to be. If you could offer suggestions, I would encourage you to visit our website, keep us on your radar. If you know of resources, please forward them. If something today sparked an idea or something you're involved in where you think, you should really be at the table, anything that you'd like to share with me is most appreciated. This is my contact information. I can be reached either by email or on the phone. I just showed you a little bit earlier. Joshua Christ is also a regional person. Dr. Wyszynski is at the Carbondale campus. Jeff Franklin is the director of our center. And Catherine Jewell is also at the Carbondale campus. And this is the team that makes up our School of Medicine team that works on the initiative. But again, we have to rely on so many other ag industry partners. And I can't thank them enough for that. I'll pause and offer the opportunity to answer any questions that you might have at this point.
Karen, can you see the questions in the chat, or do you want me to read those?
Okay, I should be able to get there.
Okay, there's comments because you asked for ideas about how to get the word out. So there's some comments in the chat about ways that you can share information about the helpline.
Okay.
And then some more kind of food for thought questions about how do we, I'll just read that one to you. How do we get people into leadership roles who exhibit good personal and professional traits that we might want to emulate instead of the hand wringers that I'm seeing so often? So
Okay,
I think that question is more about how do we get more action and programs and services, and check me if my understanding is correct, to really bring these problems to the fore and find ways to deal with them.
Okay, I see that question now. It's tough. There's lots of opportunities for young people. Of course, I worked for University of Illinois Extension for many years and worked with the 4-H program. And it was such a wonderful opportunity to build leaders from young people on. And then being an agriculture education major myself, working closely with FFA clubs, there again, that's such a wonderful opportunity, but it's also a challenge to get young people involved.
Mm-hmm. So I think, Karen, as you were talking, I was thinking one of the important ways that that can occur is the very thing you're doing, which is to design a project or a way to address this issue and then pilot it, see how it works and how it could be improved before you have a major rollout, and then just get the information out so that people know that those resources are there. There are some ideas too about, you mentioned that some people may not be comfortable either taking that information for themselves or thinking, I know someone who needs this. And so there's some ideas about how people can collect that, the card or your contact information discreetly, and then call when they have more privacy and feel more comfortable sharing.
Yes. And I thank you all for these comments. Let me scroll through some of them just individually a little bit. So include in mailers. That's an excellent point, and we're looking at that. We had a discussion with Farm Bureau about putting that wallet card in the Farm Bureau dues notice, which would go out once a year. We just missed that cycle. But things where there are direct mailers, Farm Service Agency does a lot of mailing. Farm Bureau, like I said, with the dues notice, some of those other opportunities to try to mail, maybe some of the farm co-ops. Sticker labels to add to the back of the card, yes. Ted, I don't know if I answered your question with the leadership roles. I think building leaders from young people, starting at a young age, I think that's critical. It's difficult to get people to buy in. I try to share as much as I can from the ag perspective, and even like our call center, we've had those mental health professionals go through some ag training just to know what that ag culture is all about. But to try to instill in people the importance, what an important initiative is, the topic is so initiative, and to get more people involved rather than just standing back and looking from the outside. Putting posters in commonly visited sites, that's a very good idea. That we've talked about some signage. Yes, okay. Oh, thank you, Amy. Yes, AgriSafe, I said that's through the South. Yes, they are actually based out of Iowa. Recruit members of farming organizations to ambassadors, yes. Do you already have to be a nurse? For the Nurse Scholar program, you do need to be from the LPN educational level above. You could be a nurse, you could be a nurse practitioner. Yes. Laura makes a good point. Focus on the students who remain in your community versus worrying about so much that go away. Yes. Hopefully those who leave for college will come back. So don't overlook the students. Yes. How about presentations to local FFAs? Yes. And I have reached out to the ag teachers in the pilot counties, and presentations to local FFA, the members could take cards home to farm families, and that's a very good idea. Of course, I don't have to tell all of you how difficult COVID has made it to try to do some of these promotional things in the last year, but I appreciate those comments, and those are certainly ones that we can use and can take advantage of as we try to generate. And you might be out and about and even think of, hey, that would be something they could do to get the word out, or when we get to where we can have something at the Illinois State Fair, maybe have some magnets, things that we can hand out so that, like I had one Farm Bureau manager tell me, keep the product in front of them. It's such an important topic. And farmers and farm families need those resources so much. You just have to keep the product in front of them. So if we have ways to do that, like the wallet cards, and when we're able to get out and about, I do have some presentations scheduled now that are actually going to be face-to-face with protocols in mind. But as we can get out more, it will certainly help. Do any of you have any other comments or questions?
Well, we're finishing up this discussion. Nancy is going to post the poll, so log in your comments on that poll and we can keep talking while that's in progress.
Okay, thank you.
And Karen, you might, just for people who are on today, put your contact information in the chat space. People would have it then immediately. And the website, I did put the helpline in the chat space in case people were interested in having that information right now.
Thank you. I want to share also about where we're at. We're still in the pilot phase. We're working on a proposal to try to expand. Our expansion depends solely on funding. So if we're able to get additional funding, we'd like to expand in increments, maybe think about the 66 School of Medicine counties, and then maybe look at going statewide, but we definitely want to expand beyond our pilot counties. We've had many successes there, so we would like to see that to go further.
So Karen, this is a question I just thought of as you talked about expansion. Do you have a lot of takers and participants in the pilot counties, and how do you think that's going?
So I think it's going well. Our helpline is not being utilized as much as we'd like it to be. As I talk with colleagues from other states, which I connect with people all the time in other states who are already established or maybe some that are just getting up and going. And they have experienced the same slow start. It's a tough topic. It's difficult for people to reach out. It's even more difficult for farmers to reach out. It's just not something they're used to doing. So it doesn't surprise me that it's slow. The call center has indicated too. Like I said, they answer for the suicide prevention lifeline, and they said they were slow to get started. So it doesn't surprise me that it is slow, but we certainly would like to see it utilized more. And we do hear from others that, if they could promote it as being a statewide service, if we could promote things more statewide, we think that it would get utilized more. Thank you, Laura, for adding in. I didn't add in the website. Okay, let me look at this. Yes, so we are looking at doing the telehealth, and Laura would know a little bit more about that telehealth as far as connecting. We've done a lot of social media advertising. We do the webinars. Of course, like I said, we add a lot to our website to make sure that we have resources that farmers and farm families can use. The connectivity issues I know are certainly a challenge because I face that myself. Okay, Ellen, or no, Elaine, I guess, definitely contact them on. Yes, so the faith-based is something that we're also trying to reach out to. Some of the other states have also implemented, in addition to their helplines, text line and an email line, and they find that they get a lot of traffic. They'll get people, farmers, farm spouses, children of farmers that will text in concerns and get answers that way, and that the email process has been very active too. So that's another avenue that we're looking at. In addition to the helpline, could we also offer text and email? Other questions or comments? Well, I certainly appreciate your giving me the time today on your program. I want to express my sincere appreciation for your interest and for the excellent comments and suggestions that I've gotten. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Email, call, I appreciate that. If you think of things, keep me in mind and please reach out to me. I would certainly appreciate it.
Karen, I want to thank you for joining us today. It was really great to hear the details of this program, and I think that as we think about it, we may come up with some ideas for you and ways that we can help you get the word out. So thanks for providing that additional follow-up. This webinar will be recorded. It is being recorded, and we'll post that to the website so you can go back and listen to it and also share that with others. If you've registered for the webinar, you'll get that link in an email that will come shortly. So if there are no other questions, Laura, do you want to do a final goodbye for us from Rural Partners?
Sure. Again, thank you all for being here. And I was going to quickly include the Rural Partners link in the website in case anyone is interested in learning more about Rural Partners. Please reach out to us. We're always interested in having more involvement, and we'd love to see you at future webinars and other events we host. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Karen.